What's up, Ragin Nation? How's it going? This is Alex Yu, and you're watching the Ragin Ronin review. I got a top 10 list for you guys. In this list, I'm going to give you my top 10 favorite underrated films, or rather, my top 10 most underrated films by Alex Yu. Yours truly, the Ragin Ronin. And yeah, we're going to talk about underrated films. You guys know what underrated films are? They are films that deserve your attention. You didn't know about them, you probably never heard of them, but I think they're really, really good. And unfortunately, not a lot of people know about them, not a lot of people saw them, and it's really, really unfortunate because they deserve your attention. That's an underrated film. You know what an overrated film is, right? Ones that a lot of people praise, they hype it up so much, but when you watch it, you're like, that's it? Well, that wasn't a big deal. What's so great about it? Why is everybody saying that this is so great? That's an overrated film. Well, now we're going to talk about underrated films. I'm going to give you 10 of them, and we're going to rank them. We're going to start off with number 10, and that is Shoot 'Em Up. Shoot 'Em Up. This is a full-on gunplay, shoot 'em up movie starring Clive Owen with Monica Bellucci. And it's an action comedy. It's rated R. It's got a hard R rating. It also stars Paul Giamatti, who's awesome in this movie as the antagonist. He's just so sadistic, but he's also very, very funny. And I just love this perfect blend of action and comedy. And I mean, look at this. It's got Clive Owen with two guns. Like, he's a two-gun toting protagonist. And it's like, okay, get this. There's a scene where Clive Owen and Monica Bellucci are getting it on, and then he's shooting bad guys while they're getting it on, okay? Like, that deserves your viewing. That deserves your attention, okay? Okay, this is number 9, and that is Smokin Aces, directed by Joe Carnahan. And this is a really great film. It's got an all-star cast. I mean, we got Ryan Reynolds, Jeremy Piven, Ray Liotta, Alicia Keys, Andy Garcia, Common, Jason Bateman, Ben Affleck. You know, this is an all-star cast. Chris Pine's even in this, okay? A lot of people will recognize him, but Chris Pine is actually in this. It's an all-star cast, and this is, once again, a crazy R-rated action film, and it's got this really, really awesome build-up to this spectacular finale involving a lot of gunplay. It's just, and it's got, once again, just like Shoot 'Em Up, it's got a very, very hard R rating. And this one didn't have a very long theatrical run. You know, it's not like a really positively reviewed, but I think a lot of people who ended up watching this did end up enjoying it. So definitely check it out. Check it out. It's one of those films which is like a build up towards like this big finale, and it's just really cool. And it's got all these different misfit characters in it, and they're all very, very interesting. So do check that out. That is Smokin Aces. Next up, we have The Long Kiss Goodnight. This is a film directed by Renny Harlin, who directed Cliffhanger, Die Hard 2, Die Harder, and now he went on to direct Samuel Jackson and Gina Davis in a Bourne Identity-esque type film. And this was made before Bourne Identity. You know, essentially this is the amnesiac assassin. Okay, you know, in Bourne Identity, Jason Bourne, he doesn't remember anything, and then his memory comes back to him, and it turns out that he's a spy. Well, it's the same sort of thing, except this one's kind of an action comedy, and Gina Davis, she forgets that she's a government assassin, and then she ends up becoming a teacher. So that in itself is really, really cool. I mean, that's really fun, okay? And then you have Samuel Jackson's character, who helps her, who's a detective who she hires to help her remind her, or help her solve her mystery of who she is. And they just have some really great chemistry, and Samuel L. Jackson has some really hilarious lines in this movie. And it's just a great action comedy. There's some really good action in this movie, and that's The Long Kiss Goodnight. Number 7, Red Eye. Red Eye. This is from director Wes Craven, the master of thrills and horror. Wes Craven gives us a thriller that has no supernatural elements in it. This is a film starring Cillian Murphy, the great Cillian Murphy, who's such an awesome actor, and Rachel McAdams. And I saw this in the theaters on a sneak preview, and I was so pleasantly surprised. I had no idea what this film was about, but Cillian Murphy is just this crazy, killer. Like, he has a mission to do something, make Rachel McAdams do something. All right, and then she doesn't want to do it because it involves killing. It's something that involves endangering his family. But if she doesn't do this, Cillian Murphy's gonna kill her, and this all takes place on a plane. All right, so it's a film of cat and mouse. She's trying to outsmart him, but she's in a very compromising position because she's seated right next to him on the plane. So once again, very, very fun movie and definitely deserves your attention. Okay, next up, we have number 6, Running Scared. So many people do not know about this gem. This is a Paul Walker movie, and this movie, I've never seen so many F-bombs dropped in a film. This movie has so many freaking F-bombs. And this movie also stars one of my favorite actresses of all time, Vera Farmiga. And she's so great in this movie. And this is, oh man, I don't even know how to explain this movie without giving anything away. Essentially, they're looking for a gun. That's all it is. They're looking for a gun. This gun was involved in a shooting. It killed a cop. And now this gun needs to be found. And from that moment on, it just takes you into this crazy fairy tale. I like to call it a fairy tale because that's what it feels like. A fairy tale in the dark underbellies of the crime underworld, okay? And it's just a very, very dark film. But you've never seen Paul Walker like this ever. He's just crazy. Like, he's just full-on crazy in this movie. And you've never seen him like this at all, okay? If you've seen the Fast and Furious movies, that's one thing. But, like, he's a very, you know, like, he's got his mind right. You know what I'm saying? This one, he's just freaking nuts, okay? Running Scared, do check that out. Next up, we have a time travel movie from the late and great director Tony Scott, Deja Vu, starring Denzel Washington. First of all, Denzel Washington is so great in this movie. He's charming as always, just like he is in every film. This one directed by Tony Scott, so he keeps this a really fast-paced film. And this is more like a detective film than a full-on action film. It's a time travel detective film with very minimal time travel in it. However, there is the aspects of time travel theory, all right? And that's what makes this film very, very interesting. It's got one of the most spectacular explosions ever caught on film. It takes place in New Orleans, and this film is just, you know, when we think of time travel movies, we think of Back to the Future, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, I don't know, Hot Tub Time Machine. But this one, if you love the genre, you definitely need to check this one out. This really takes a new spin on the time travel genre. And it is it's just a very interesting twist on it. And I just feel it's brilliant. Like, I love how everything just works out. Because, you know, when you deal with time travel movies, there's so many different theories, and I don't feel anybody really gets it right. But if you make the story good enough, you just don't care. This is one of those movies. It's got such a great, engaging story that all of these weird loopholes that are in time travel, it just, you know, you don't even care about them. And you just are so invested in the story and the characters. So that's why this one works. Number 4. This is totally underrated, okay? Still to this date, so many people do not know about this film. And this came out just a year after The Matrix. This is Equilibrium. Some people are calling this a better film than than The Matrix. I'm gonna have to disagree with that, but still, this film is amazing. Okay, this film, Equilibrium, takes place in a dystopian future where free thought, freedom of thinking, does not exist. In fact, it's outlawed. Freedom of expression, creativity, it is all outlawed. And they try to control it with this pill. I forgot what it's called. But in any case, there's these enforcers. They're called the tetragrammaton clerics. These enforcers, they're trained in like a fighting style called gun kata, which was made up by director Kurt Wimmer, writer-director Kurt Wimmer. He made up this martial arts style which involves using guns as extensions of your arms, and it's like this really cool martial arts that he invented, and it was made and used by these tetragrammaton clerics. And that's just an aspect of this film that makes it cool. But the story itself is also very, very cool. Like I said, it takes place in a dystopian future, and I love these types of films. So check out Equilibrium. Next up, we have Pacific Heights. This one stars Michael Keaton, Matthew Modine, and Melanie Griffith. Yep, that's right, Melanie Griffith. Haven't seen it in a while. And this is a film about bad renters. That's all it is. It's a film about bad renters. Okay? You know, there's some, I'm sure a lot of people out there have rented houses, rented their basement suite, or rented a room, or rented something, a property, a piece of property to a renter. They turn out being terrible, terrible tenants. You gotta watch this film. This film is terrifying. This film is scary, okay? Because Michael Keaton is just crazy. Like, he's the worst tenant you will ever rent to. And Melanie Griffith, Matthew Modine, they're a young couple. They just moved into their own house. They want to make a little bit of money, so they rent to Michael Keaton. Very happy about him. Turns out, he's a nice guy, but it turns out being the worst person you ever want to deal with. He's out there to scam them, and it gets a lot worse. So that's Pacific Heights. Number 2, Sneakers. Sneakers is a really cool film. This is a spy film, okay? But with very minimal spy work, because they don't do spy stuff like Bourne Identity or like Mission Impossible. It's very, very different. This one is, there's very little action in this movie, but it works out more like Mission Impossible, but without the spectacular action. Because it's more like a heist movie with ex-spy type characters. And I don't even know how to really explain it. All I gotta say that this film, it's got this all-star cast. Okay, Robert Redford, Dan Aykroyd, Ben Kingsley, Mary McDonnell, River Phoenix, Sidney Poitier, and David Strathairn. This is a solid cast, and how can I say? They're just it's a heist film. They're trying to steal this black box. They can do a lot of scary things, and they're going to use their spy craft to get it back. And it's a comedy drama. And it's just very fun to watch. It's very fun watching these guys work together. It's great chemistry, and they made it very engaging, thrilling, and also funny. So, Sneakers, do check this out. I know my explanation doesn't give a whole lot, but it's definitely worth it. Finally, Dark City is number 1. Dark City, directed by Alex Proyas, who directed The Crow. Alex Proyas, I think this is actually his best film. I mean, I like The Crow. I think The Crow's great. Dark City is amazing. It stars Rufus Sewell, Jennifer Connelly, and this is one twisted sci-fi film. And as a matter of fact, I think this film, or at least elements from this film, inspired The Matrix. It's got this sci-fi noir a feel about it, and that was totally intentional. And how do I explain this movie without giving anything away? This film, I mean, if you've seen this film, you know what I'm talking about. This film is a dark sci-fi noir film that is just out of this world. It's got detective work in it. It definitely got a lot of mystery, and it's got some horror elements in it, and it's just a mind-bending thrill ride. Like, it's one of the most twisted sci-fi movies you've ever seen. Just check it out, okay? It's number 1 on my list. Very, very underrated. A lot of people haven't seen this movie, and it's something else. It really, truly is something else. It's a film that, once you see it, once you watch it, you still have so many questions after watching this film. You want to know more about this world, okay? You want to know more about this universe that this film takes place in. They don't give too much away, but it leaves it up for your imagination, and that's the beauty of this film, because it's just so vast. There's just so much that can be told about this film. But they keep it just enough so that you feel like, okay, that was really awesome. That was really, really cool. But now I want to know more. So there you have it. Those are my top 10 most underrated films. I think you definitely should check out every single one of them, because they're just so good, and I love them all. And the unfortunate thing is, I've seen them, but not a lot of people have seen them as well. I mean, not a lot of people have seen them at all. So now I can't even talk to them about it. I have to just tell them, go watch it, which is what I'm telling you right now. Go watch it so we can talk about it, so that I can hear you say that, okay, that was great. Thanks for recommending it to me. I'd never even heard of this film, but I'm so glad I checked it out. So there you have it. That's my top 10 list. Why don't you let me know your top 10 or top 5 or top 3 most underrated films, or just recommend an underrated film to me in the comment section. And there you have it. As always, if you enjoyed this video. You want to see more, make sure you hit the like button, subscribe to the YouTube channel, like me on Facebook, The Ragin Nation. Also follow me on Twitter, Ragin Nation. My name is Atsu. Thanks for watching. See you next time. Peace.